Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode. And I'm somewhere in Dumberi Township, which is only 3 kilometers from Kiambu Town. And I'm super excited as today we are starting the Githunguri series. And we plan to explore a few towns in the area. Some are doing well, while others are super dead. Of course, we'll be hitting the first town in less than a minute. And remember, this is not your regular area. First, it has some very interesting statistics. I'll be sharing the numbers later in the video. It is also quite scenic. Remember, the Aberdares ranges is not far from here. And it is also good to know that Githunguri constituency rank first as far as dairy farming is concerned in the country. But before we hit our first town, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to our YouTube channel, Village to Town TV, a channel that is dedicated to continue showcasing beautiful villages, towns, and cities across the continent of Africa. We are dedicated to visit and document all the small towns and villages in 290 constituencies across Kenya. And we have already covered some in Kiambu and Nairobi counties. You can check them later. And today mark our first day in Githunguri constituency. We're gonna camp here for some few days. And so if you have not yet subscribed, kindly consider doing so that we can do this together. Now back to the video. And I can see our first town is in the vicinity. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kino Town. Well, the town has a fancy name, but one thing you should note is that it is the entry point to Githunguri constituency, and it is also the biggest trading center between Kiambu Town and Githunguri towns. Well, it's around 9 a.m., and as you can see, the town is quite busy. Everyone is going about their business, and I wonder what will happen around the evening, but I'm sure traffic will be crazy. This must be a busy town. I want to turn left so that I can see what the town has to offer. But I have just noted that the old town is on the right. I'll be visiting there later. And you can see the town is doing very well, especially on this side. There are new story buildings. It seems like this is the future of the town. But unfortunately, it seems like the town's dump site is here, right on the face. I don't know whose idea it was. You can see it on the right. And it seems like the town has come to an end on this side, but much of it is on the right side of the main road. And so I'll be turning around so that I can go back to the town center and explore more. And it is also good to know that this very road goes all the way to Githiga, a small town, a remote one in Githunguri constituency. I'm told it's quite a beautiful place. Actually, it is in the T-zone. Let me show you something on my right. You can see a typical Kikuyu home, quite simple and elegant. Such homes are quite common around Kiambu County, quite typical for the middle class living in rural areas. Well, I'm back to the town center, and as I promised you, I want to explore the old town where everything started. But unfortunately, we are facing the sun, but bear with us, it's only for a few seconds. In Africa, we are quite blessed with enough sunlight. And remember, Kenya is along the equator, so this is expected despite being early in the morning. It's a beautiful day in this small town of IKINU. Actually, it is on a Friday, the month of May 2024. I don't know when you are watching this. Maybe you are doing so in 2092 or 2032. What do we know? Well, let me give you a few numbers about this place. And Kino Township has a population of 2,532 people. So it's not a big town as far as the population is concerned. It is also good to know that Ikino is a word, and there is also a sub-location that goes by the same name. And the word is quite big. In fact, it covers areas such as Ikinu, Kiababu, Lyoki, and Gemwa, for those who are quite familiar with this area. Well, this is the old part of the town. I'll be coming back to the numbers later. You can see that most buildings are quite old, but of course modernity is catching up. You can see new story buildings coming up in this part of the town. but it seems like parking is quite a big issue here. I'm not so sure whether I'll be able to pass between those vehicles. But surely, how would you park this way on a public road? Well, it seems like I'll have to look for another route to get me back to the main road. Mr. Lone Travelers have got enough problems. I'm not looking for new trouble. Of course, you have to learn to tread carefully, especially when you're in new areas. You don't know who is who. Well, enough with the bad parking shenanigans. Let me go back to IKINU ward's number as we navigate around the town. And the ward has a total population of 27,509 people. 13,506 are men, while 13,999 are women. And you can see the difference between men and women is not that big in the ward, but it was quite big in the township, as the small town has 1,189 men and 1,343 women, meaning that women make up 53% of the population, while male are 47%. And this tells you that there is a 6% difference between the two genders, meaning that the small town has a crazy gender gap. And IKINU ward had 7,793 households, and in terms of population density, there are 1,225 people per square kilometer, which results from the fact that this is the rural part of the country, and so you don't expect to see high concentration of people like it is in the case in urban centers. And as you can see, the internal roads are quite chaotic, but probably it rained yesterday, so it is understandable. And remember, this place gets plenty of rain. It is on the slopes of the Aberdares. That's why farming is the main economic activity in the area. The main cash crop being coffee, although some parts of Githunguri have tea. And it is also good to know that 30% of all the coffee produced in the country come from Kiambu County. That's about a third of the aggregate production. And as I told you earlier in the video, dairy farming, it's quite something here. In fact, Githunguri has some of the strongest farmers cooperatives in the country as far as dairy farming is concerned. And in fact, the Fresher brand of milk products is in the heart of Githunguri town, and it is wholly owned by the Githunguri farmers. And so, well, you can see the picture I'm trying to paint here. If you are into dairy farming, this is the place to be. Well, I want to sample a few learning institutions in the area. There are a few public schools around, and one of them is this one right here on my left. I hope you can see it. And it goes by the name IKINU Comprehensive School. That means it has several units. It has an early childhood school. There is also a primary school and a junior high school. Well, this is a result of the new model of education in the country. And probably a few years ago, this was only a primary school. I stand to be corrected. And the school has quite a huge playing field, which is not always the case in Lower Kiambu and Nairobi County. In fact, if you are quite familiar with those areas, you will know that some schools don't even have playing fields. Well, let me just turn around so that I can give you a good glimpse of the school. I want to have a clear view of the classes and any other development that may be present here. And as I always say, a public school speaks volume about a community. And this one is of no exemption. And remember, this one is right next to the town. You can even see some shops across the road. And there is something that is catching my attention here. There is a food program for this constituency that seems to run from this school. And so here is the central kitchen, initiated by one Gathoni wa Muchomba, who is the area MP. And it seems like they cook food for several schools here and distribute it during lunchtime. It's quite a good program, I must say. And for the old-timers, I'm sure you know that the area MP was once a journalist, and she was also the second women representative for Kiambu County before vying for Githunguri constituency in the last general election. Well, that's the school for you. And there are a few legends that come from this area, and topping the list is one Joroge Githunguri, a top journalist and TV anchor working for Inora TV. And for those who knows him, I'm told he has a knack for sports. And it seems like people from these areas have special interest for journalism. Remember, I told you that the area MP was once a journalist for many years. And let me take you to the real estate segment as I leave the town for the next one. And to get a piece of land from this area, you need about 1.5 million Kenya shillings. That is for 50 by 100, which is equals to an eighth of an acre. For those who are used to counting the land sizes in terms of acreage. In terms of the US dollars, that's about 13,000 for those who are living outside the country. And remember, if you want a plot right in the middle of the town, you will have to cough more. Of course, you've seen that the town is quite developed. And a plot can go for as much as 7 million Kenya shillings. So you have to choose your struggles wisely. And for those who are interested in renting, you can get a good 2-bedroom apartment for as low as 10,000 Kenya shillings. Remember, the farther you go from Nairobi, the cheaper the rents. But I have noted that getting a vacant shop in the town can be an uphill task, which is also good news in disguise for business people, as this tells you that the town is quite busy, and so businesses are doing quite well. And this very road goes north all the way to Githunguri town, which is one of the biggest urban center in rural Kiambu County. And it is about 10 kilometers from here. And it is also good to know that behind me is Kiambu town, which is also about 12 kilometers from here. But right before you hit Kiambu town, there are a few towns, most of which you have covered here. They include Tinganga and Dumberi. You can go and watch their videos later. They are on this channel. And between IKINU, the town we just left, and Githunguri town, there is only a single town, which goes by the name Gathanje. We'll be hitting there in a few seconds. I'm told it's quite a dead town. I want to see how dead it is. And actually, this is a shopping center, not a town per se. It is not as developed as the last one. In fact, it still has a village ambience. And it is also good to know that the kid celebrity that died a few months ago by the name Chira, he was quite popular across TikTok, came from this area. He was quite controversial. And I can see the town is on my right. I'm looking for a way to get into the town center so that we can get a good glimpse of this shopping center. And remember, Githunguri town is only 21 minutes from here. Actually, it's about 9 kilometers. And the town's name is Gathanje, which is Kikuyu name for the plants that grows on water. They are mostly found on marshy area. And that tells you that probably this area was quite marshy. There was a lot of water. And that explains why this very road is in a nasty state. Actually, it's quite risky for a small car. You can get stuck anytime, and that's mean more trouble. And I told you I'm not into the business of looking for more trouble. I've got enough. But anyway, I must take you around the town so that you can see for yourself. Unfortunately, the section ahead is the worst, but the journey continues. Well, I can see some beautiful shops right in front. They are quite busy, but it seems like the road is the only problem. So probably it's a leadership issue, not a local problem. I don't know who is responsible for making this road. Don't know whether it's the governor or the area MP, but they should do something. Gathanje people deserve better. I can see some very old shops on the other side of the town. I don't know when this town was founded, but they are quite old. In fact, they are not less than 50 or 60 years, just a guess. And it seems like this is the drinking zone. I can see some clubs. In fact, there are two on one complex, but they are not open. Maybe it's the time factor. It's too early. Remember, in Kenya, the earliest you can open a club, it's at 5 p.m. But old boys still get their drinks as early as 6 a.m. I don't know how, but as they say, rules are made to be broken. Well, it seems like this part of the town is the oldest and it's dead. You can see the building right in front. You can call it a dead investment. I don't know what fate befell the old investment. In fact, it is the first building from the main road, and so I would expect business should be thriving here. And there is our Gathoni butchery here next to the bar, and I can read, you can get supu kichwa, ugali matumbo, mutura, and etc. Now this is the place to be for the old timers. And next to the butchery, there is Anyar Migori dressmaking. Well, I'm not quite familiar with the Luo language, but the word Nyar Migori means a lady from Migori. That means that probably the business owner is a lady from Migori, which is quite fascinating. And so we can say that this shopping center is a metropolitan small town. It also means that people from this area are quite accommodative. Kudos to you. Well, let me give you a few numbers about this area as we go around the small, beautiful town. And this area is in Githunguri Constituency, which is one of the 12 constituencies in Kiambu County. And it has a population of 165,232 people. And it covers an area of 174 kilometers squared. Population density is 947 people per square kilometer. So this is quite a rural area. While the annual population change is 1.1% per year, which is quite low. On the case of gender distribution, the two genders are quite balanced, as 50.3% are women, while 49.6% are men. There are only 8 intersex in the entire constituency, a number that is a bit low. And in terms of age distribution, well, those aged 65 and above are only 12,002 people out of the 165,000 people living in the constituency, which is about 8% of the entire population, while those aged 90 and above are only 755 people, are those aged between 10 and 19, as they are 33,791 people. Well, let me leave you at this point in this beautiful town, and from here we are going north toward Githunguri town. Please continue watching the scenic video until the end, and if you have not yet subscribed, kindly consider doing so. Like the video so that it can be recommended to as many people as possible, and smash the notification bell so that every time we post, you'll be among the first few people to be notified. Also keep the conversation going. Tell us, what do you think about this video? Will you consider living in Gathanje or IKINU? And you can also tell us the areas you would like us to feature next. Thank you.